Hi, it's Mike Petoskey with CMD Wellness. Today we're continuing on our series on what is first aid according to OSHA. In Part B of 1904.7, OSHA sets out that administering a tetanus immunization is considered first aid. They have a caveat with this point, which is other immunizations, such as hepatitis B vaccine or rabies vaccines, are considered medical treatment. So let's break this down a little bit. This is one of the very few carve-outs of the OSHA first aid list that doesn't really fall under the what would Granny do rule. However, OSHA still made this carve out available because if you think of it from the perspective of preventing tetanus is good medicine. It's not designed to withhold medication or medical treatment from patients who need it. Also, if you want to think of it from this perspective, just because you have a breakage in skin or a laceration or an abrasion does not necessarily mean that you're going to develop tetanus. Tetanus may happen as a byproduct if whatever broke the skin was contaminated with soil. Tetanus comes from a fungus that lives in soil. Tetanus does not develop rapidly. It typically takes days to weeks to show. So you're not quite sure whether they were exposed to the fungus that causes tetanus or not. But we don't want that to develop. So we are not giving a vaccine in order to treat the laceration or abrasion or breakage in skin. We are preventing a potential complication down the road. Now, how does the caveat come into this? Immunizations such as hepatitis B or rabies vaccine are considered medical treatment. Well, if you think of this in context, this is saying preventative vaccines are typically deemed to be okay, but if we're trying to give vaccines in terms of post-exposure and treatment of a potential exposure to a pathogen, then that would be considered medical treatment. If somebody was potentially exposed to a bloodborne pathogen, had not previously received their hepatitis B vaccine, and then we initiate them on the hepatitis B series, we are doing that in response to the exposure, and therefore it is considered to be medical treatment. We don't give rabies vaccines prophylactically to humans, at least in the United States. We give them in response to a potential exposure to rabies. Even though we can give hepatitis B series prophylactically, it's grouping it with rabies to demonstrate giving these as post-exposure prophylaxis. This is another point about if you are a healthcare provider, why your employer wants you to have had your hepatitis B series prior to potentially exposure to bloodborne pathogens. Hopefully this clears up point B of 1904.7. And if you'd like more information and tips on OSHA first aid, please follow us for more at cmdwellness.com.